So if you're someone who has struggled or is currently struggling with issues of poor digestion on a vegan diet, then this video is for you. I've briefly touched on this topic in the past, but today I want to do a bit more of a deep dive into all the solutions that I think are going to help you improve your digestion whilst eating nothing but plants. Firstly, why even bother? Why, for people primarily interested in improving body composition, should we concern ourselves with digestion? Well, the reality is that all these processes are linked, and digestion doesn't just play a role in how comfortably food passes through your body, but it also influences how much muscle you'll build and how much fat you'll lose. Poor digestion leads to suboptimal nutrient absorption, which will lead to poor recovery, higher stress, and ultimately worse results. Obviously things we don't want, and we'd like to feel good from the foods we eat as well. So that's what this video is all about, optimizing performance and also optimizing well-being. There's nothing worse than spending hours in discomfort after eating a meal as your body attempts the mission to try and process the food that you've eaten. It's a bit ironic as well that your body ends up being lethargic from eating food. Food is supposed to energize us and yet can make us feel tired. So go figure. Bloating is one of the most common symptoms that people describe with poor digestion. I've spoken to thousands of people, both vegan, not vegan, doesn't matter what way of eating you choose to follow. If you're not carefully selecting foods that agree with your body, you will have poor digestion. So how do we optimize digestion? Let's talk about some solutions. So the first solution is not diet specific. Whether you're vegan or not, this will work for you, and that is to slow down. Most people eat too fast and in turn don't chew their food enough. This may sound patronizing, but how much you chew your food has a massive impact on how easy it is for your body to break that food down and digest it. Digestion doesn't begin in the stomach, it begins in the mouth. So the smaller we can break down our food, the more beneficial it's going to be. Now, lengthening the time that you spend eating by chewing longer and taking longer to process that food obviously might be a bit impractical for certain people. I understand that not everybody can spend ages kind of meticulously chewing their food. Nevertheless, what's more impractical are the negative symptoms associated with poor digestion. So from a cost-benefit analysis perspective, it actually makes sense. If you're someone who has a physical job or perhaps a high metabolism, then invariably you're going to be someone who has to eat more calories. And even if you opt for energy-dense foods, it's going to lead to more food, right? You're going to have to consume more food regardless of whether you're consuming the most calorie-dense foods out there. So it becomes even more important for people like you to be able to optimize your digestion. Some people talk about eating fast, right? Eat quickly so that you can get on to your next meal. I think that is terrible advice. It's so difficult to chew your food properly when you're eating fast. So my recommendation is going to actually be to slow down and chew your food for twice as long as you normally would. This is also relevant for people in a gaining phase. So if you're eating in a calorie surplus to try and build as much muscle as possible, again, you're going to be eating more food. So optimizing digestion becomes even more important. Some people talk about liquefying their meals, so blending their meals and then drinking them. But realistically, is anybody going to do that? Maybe 1% of people, but I'm not going to enjoy that. I'm going to guess that you're probably not going to enjoy that either. So we'll just kind of ignore that one. Moving on to the second solution to help optimize digestion, and that is to move your body after a meal. What do I mean by move your body? It sounds a bit vague. Well, really what I want you to avoid doing is just sitting down or lying down and being sedentary after eating food. If it's practical, my recommendation would be to go for a short walk, just 5 or 10 minutes, doesn't need to be long. I personally like to go just around the block after each of my meals. Helps just to get the body moving. You don't want to be sitting down, you don't want to be lying down. That is the worst possible position for you to be effectively digesting food. So upright, even if you're at work, can you stand up? Just try not to sit down. Understand you're not going to be able to just go for a walk if you're at work. But yeah, standing up, much better than sitting down. And what is with that temptation to lie down after a meal? Again, very ironic. Food is supposed to energize you, and yet the first thing you want to do after eating food is go for a recovery nap. Movement is what you need. Your body's going to start to process that food all by itself. After all, your stomach is a muscle. It does contract and it does pull the food through the body, but just being upright is going to help it out on its way. Now onto solutions pertaining specifically to veganism. The first one is all about fiber, and I've spoken about this in the past, and that is to reduce the amount of fiber that you are consuming. Most people inevitably, as a consequence of just shifting most of their meals to plant-based, will have higher fiber levels than what is recommended. Recommended is 30 grams. I think that is too low. But even if we add 50% and it's 45 grams, you're probably going to exceed that. I remember when I first went vegan, I was consuming about 120 grams of fiber inevitably through the food choices that I was making to fulfill the macronutrient requirements that I wanted to hit. It's going to be very difficult for you to jump in at the deep end as I did. I did too much too soon. And so what makes more sense for others is to acclimate to a higher intake. So gradually increasing the amount of fiber that you're consuming, piecemeal, steady as you go, and allowing your gut microbiome to adapt to those increasing intakes of fiber. Beyond lowering fiber, another change that I have personally made is to exclude gluten. So I'm currently following a gluten-free vegan diet, going for all the possible labels. Many people might not even realize that they are gluten intolerant. It's worth trialing a week of gluten-free just to see if you notice any improvements in your digestion. You've got nothing to lose, it doesn't hurt, right? It's worth trialing, especially if a vegan diet is something that you're going to be sticking to for life. Taking some time to perform some trial and error to see what that formula is for your body is a very valuable process, and this is what I try and do with my online clients to try and optimize their nutrition, to make the most enjoyable plans, but also sticking to the goal, whether that's losing fat, building muscle, whatever it is, but also not getting that discomfort, not getting that bloating from the food that they eat every single day. A final suggestion, and this is purely anecdotal, in my own experience, peppermint tea is fantastic to help with your digestion. So consume a peppermint tea around each of your meals. Let me know how you go. I think you will notice a benefit. Most of the science is done on peppermint oil. Peppermint oil has been shown to improve irritable bowel symptoms. Nevertheless, anecdotally, I found that the peppermint tea is actually also beneficial, so worth giving it a try. So those are my top tips to help aid digestion. Obviously, optimizing how food passes through your body is a very important thing to do, not just from a well-being perspective, but also in improving our body composition, building more muscle, losing fat, all of the things that we want to do. Please let's get a little dialogue going in the comment section. Have you managed to overcome issues with your digestion? How have you managed to do this? I'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, be well, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.